Security Market, the presentation of Group 3. Good day, my name is Elmar S. Tejero, the facilitator of the group. I am glad to introduce to you my group mates for this presentation.
Mabuhay! My name is Marienne Yzabel Digay, and it's my pleasure to discuss security market with you.
Good morning. This is Chulo, Prado, and let's talk about security market.
Hi, my name is Balallo. Come join us now as we learn more about security market.
Security market. What is this? Why is it so important? Let's try to figure it out through discussing it exhaustively. Security market is the means by which the products and services are bought and sold directly and indirectly. It brings buyers and sellers together and in aid to transfer of goods and services. It is a market where the investors buy and sell financial assets. It serves two functions. What are these functions? One, they help the companies to raise their funds by making it the initial sale of their stock to the public, meaning they are designed to allow firms to raise funds for growth and capital investment. Two, they provide a place where investors can trade already issued stock, meaning to say it is an avenue in which investors execute their buying and selling decisions.
The security market is a subset of the broader financial market in which securities can be bought and sold between economic subjects based on supply and demand.
It encompasses equity market, bond market, and derivatives market, where prices can be determined and participants, both professional and non-professional, can bid.
That's right. It also serves as a gathering place for buyers and sellers who trade on the primary or secondary markets. They provide services, amenities, and procedures for dealing with new and old securities transactions. It's the place where buyers and sellers of securities transact business.
In addition, a security market is utilized in an economy to attract fresh capital, transform real assets into financial assets, decide a price that balances demand and supply, and give a way to invest money, both short and long term.
Now that we have already learned and discussed the definition of security market, let's now move on to the next discussion of the two kinds of security market. What are these? These are the primary markets and secondary markets. Let's begin with the primary markets. Primary market is where new issues of stocks and bonds are sold by corporations, national governments, and local government units or LGUs. Meaning to say, this is the market where the initial issue or first issue of stocks and bonds takes place. In primary market, corporate equity and debt securities are issued. I-review lang natin ang mga terms na ito. Ang equity securities, these are financial assets of investors and equity of issuer. While debt securities, these are financial assets of investor and financial liability of issuer. In the primary market, the new issues of securities are negotiated through the investment banking and direct or private placement. Investment banking. It refers to the negotiation of the sale of new securities to the public by underwriting the issue, which is done by investment banking house or in short, investment bankers. Companies frequently hire investment bankers to underwrite their securities when they intend to issue equity or debt securities. To put it another way, they request the services of investment bankers, often known as underwriters. We need to know what underwriting means at this stage.
The act of purchasing a fresh issue from issuing corporation and a fixed price to selling it to general public is known as underwriting. This means that the underwriter buys the securities from the issuer and then resells them at a higher price to invest public.
The underwriter helps the issuer prepare the bond issue and set the price, and has exclusive right to market the issue. Now, private placement. The sale of a bond issue directly to investors is now known as private placement. In other words, there is no middleman in private placement. Ibebenta yung bonds directly to investors. It's also worth noting that in private placements, the majority of investors are institutions.
The second type of security market is the secondary market. The question now is, what is it used for? What is the significance of tackling? Let us now begin the debate in order to gain a better understanding of it. Secondary market. Securities that have already been introduced to the market are sold in the secondary market. So, what's the distinction between the primary and secondary markets? In primary market, their securities are newly issued. However, in the secondary market, the securities are not newly issued. As a result, the secondary market is critical for providing liquidity to investors, particularly those who purchased assets in the primary market. An example of secondary market is 1. Exchange. An exchange is a centralized market where stocks, bonds, and other securities can be traded in the secondary market. Before an issue may be traded on an exchange, it must be approved for listing. In most nations, there is only one securities exchange, but in more developed markets, there may be one or more national exchanges as well as multiple regional exchanges. The Philippine Stock Exchange is the name of the exchange in the Philippines.
Another example of secondary market is over-the-counter market or OTC market. This is the market for securities that aren't traded on a stock exchange. To put it another way, securities are not traded on exchanges in the over-the-counter market. The securities are exchanged outside the stock exchange.
Let's look at the definition of the Philippine Stock Exchange in more detail. The Philippine Stock Exchange, or PSE, is the country's only stock exchange. It is one of Asia's oldest stock exchanges, having been in continuous operation since the Manila Stock Exchange was founded in 1927. It now has a trading floor at the PSE Tower in Bonifacio Global City, Taguig City. The PSE trades continuously from 9:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. with a break from 12 p.m. to 1:30 p.m.
Let's now move on to the next topic now that we have understood the most important elements regarding PSE. There are 8 participants of security markets in the Philippines, and these include stock exchange, investors, stockbrokers, listed companies, clearinghouse, depository, central banks, and transfer agents. Let's start with stock exchange. Stock exchange is a well-organized marketplace or facility that connects buyers and sellers and makes the sale and acquisition of stocks easier. It ensures that trade transactions are completed in a timely, orderly, equitable, and transparent manner. Because of these tasks, PSE is recognized as the guardian of the Philippine Stock Exchange.
When we talk about investor, we're talking about stockholder or shareholder who owns stock in publicly traded corporation. We also have some rights such as the right to fair and equal treatment, the right to vote, and the other such right. In addition, stockholders are entitled to various perks. They are divided into 2 categories, retail or institutional, as well as local or foreign.
Stockbrokers. A stockbroker is licensed by the Securities and Exchange Commission or the SEC and is entitled to trade at the exchange. There are 2 types of stockbrokers, the traditional and online. When we say traditional, this is done through phone calls and sometimes the designated licensed salesman handles the client's account in taking orders via written instructions on occasion, while online is done through the usage of the internet.
Listed companies. These are also known as issuers, and their share of stock is traded on the exchange. As of June 16, 2021, the Philippine Stock Exchange has 275 listed companies. The PSE also offers exchange-traded funds through the First Metro Philippine Equity Exchange Traded Fund Incorporation. These are classified into 6 different sectors: financial, industrial, holding firms, property, services, and mining and oil.
Clearinghouse. The Securities Clearing Corporation of the Philippines, or SCCP, is the exchange's wholly owned subsidiary. It was created to ensure the equities trades made on the PSE were settled in a timely manner. To summarize, SCCP is in charge of creating its clearing members' cash and securities liabilities and entitlements.
The Philippine Depository and Trust Corporation, or PDTC, serve as a security depository or custodian for listed stock trade on the Philippine Stock Exchange. It was also planned to set up a central repository in the Philippines and adopt scriptless trade.
Settlement banks. The PSE has 3 accredited banking institutions where trading participants can make and receive stock transaction payments. The settlement banks receive and/or return cash collateral put up by clearing members to cover their daily trade negative exposures, confirm payments of due clearing obligations to SCCB, and debit buyers' cash account and credit sellers' cash account during settlement.
Transfer agents. They are the official keeper of the company's shareholder records. A list of holders of the issuers or listed company securities is provided by the stock transfer agents to the issuer or listed company.
concludes our group's presentation on security market. I am Elmar S, Tejero, Group Facilitator.
I am Marienne Yzabel Digay.
I am Balallo.
I am Chulo Prado.